Joining us now on the program is Dennis Wade from the Pawley Lean Institute at Oakland University, celebrating now 20 years of service in our local community. Dennis, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. It's not the first time we've had you on this program, but for those that are unfamiliar with the work that the Pawley Lean Institute does, tell us about the Pawley Lean Institute and the ways it serves not just the Oakland University community, but the greater area as well.
Sure. The Pawley Lean Institute, which was created 20 years ago by Dennis Pawley. Dennis is the former executive vice president of manufacturing from Chrysler, as well as an Oakland University graduate, and also has served on the Oakland University board multiple times. Dennis, in creating this institute, really was looking for a way that Oakland students might have an advantage once they graduated to find employment. And so his view was that if we had lean skills, lean programming, lean academics within the university, we'd be giving a leg up to our students as they graduated. And so over the 20 years, we've really progressed. We try to focus on maybe three strategies. One is academics, and we have lean programs in our School of Education, our School of Engineering, as well as our business school. We do lead some lean projects on campus, which is, if you're not familiar with the term lean, think of continuous improvement. And finally, and probably the most important thing we do are student engagements. And that can be as simple as trying to work on internships or co-ops for students, which will either enhance their resumes or even sometimes lead to a job offer. We also offer scholarships to our students. We have some faculty endowments in our program. We do community outreach. We run our own Lean Community Service internships where students go into community service organizations and work on a project. We run high school workshops, and we've kind of added a new piece in the last 6 months, which is working on some professional development with our students, which really has to do with bringing professionals into Oakland University to do mock interviews with students. And we work very hard with those student resumes. So as they graduate, they have all the tools that we think they need to, again, find employment.
We're joined on the program by Dennis Wade from the Pawley Lean Institute at Oakland University on today's edition of the Megacast, as he said, celebrating now 20 years of service to students at Oakland University as well as the greater community. And as you mentioned, when Dennis Pawley founded this 20 years ago, what was the inspiration behind him finding this not only at Oakland University, being an alum, but the purpose behind all the things that are being done at the Pawley Lean Institute to inspire this new generation of students as they head into the workforce?
Well, I think if you take a step back, Denny was lean trained, and when he accepted the job at Chrysler, he essentially changed the manufacturing process. Some people refer to it as the Toyota production model. He put his spin on it, and it essentially became the Chrysler manufacturing model. So he was a huge believer in lean and the benefits it could give an organization. And then over time, I think he saw the value of having students understand lean principles coming out of college. And then again, I think he saw the advantage of Oakland University students being able to find jobs once they graduate because they've taken lean coursework, they've worked on lean projects, they've reached out to the community and made themselves visible, particularly in this area, so that whether you're an engineering student or a human resource student or a school in the student from the business school, when you walk into that interview and you hand that resume over and you see lean, you've really differentiated yourselves from other people looking for those jobs.
And so elaborate on some of those programs or those courses in the Pawley Lean Institute that are helping these students learn those lean principles and apply them not only in their studies, but then in the workforce later on. How does that work?
Yeah, well, actually, we've got in our School of Education Human Services, we have a lean minor. There's three lean courses within that program to help facilitate that minor, including working on a project. We run a lean graduate certificate for people that are looking once they've graduated to further their skill sets and knowledge. In the School of Business, we teach it both in our operations management program as well in our MBA program. And in the School of Engineering, it's part of the curriculum that not only industrial systems engineering students are taking, but many um, mechanical engineers are taking it as a field of study as well. And we also, again, offer that course at the graduate level. Now, interesting enough, we also have a couple ways that a student, once they've done some of that coursework, can go in and take an online green belt certificate, which again adds value to their resume.
In terms of partnerships, a great part about what the Pawley Lean Institute does is it does partner with a number of major companies, not only locally but nationally and worldwide, to help provide opportunities then beyond just learning lean principles, but then applying them into your career and having those opportunities. Speak about how those partnerships have developed over the years and really added an additional element of not only credibility but vision for these students going forward, knowing that they can go into these industries and form these connections too in their career path.
Yeah, we've had several partnerships, including the Lean Enterprise Institute out of Boston, the Lean Learning Center out of Troy, Michigan, AT&T, Comerica, the Bosch Foundation, J-Bill, which is a local company out of Auburn Hills, and uh, what we've seen, as well as Comerica Bank. And what we've seen from them is we've seen them give us personnel to work with projects with our students. So we see our students working specifically with organizations. We've also seen funding for some of the projects that we do. And that allows us to either cover some of the expenses we have with those programs, or in the case of our community service internships, instead of just giving students money as a scholarship, we create our own internship where two students go into an organization, whether it be somebody like Humble Design or Leader Dogs for the Blind or Fleece and Thank You or the Rose Hill Center, and two student teams under the guidance of mentors that come from industry will work a project over 10 weeks, and those students can earn $2,500, which certainly helps offset some of the expenses associated with their college expenses. So we think that's a win-win. um, Organizations like partnering with us. They see the value in it, whether they're coaching or providing the funding. Um, and the community service organization gets a process implementation plan to affect their organization positively.
We're joined by Dennis Wade on the Megacast, director of the Pawley Lean Institute at Oakland University. You can find more information on their website by visiting oakland.edu/lean, oakland.edu/lean for more information on their projects and their initiatives, as well as their programs within multiple schools and interdisciplinary areas of Oakland University academics, oakland.edu/lean. And Dennis, over these last 20 years, how have these programs evolved to not only match the ways that these industries that it covers are now in today's world, but also to help develop those relationships between current students and former students and alumni and these organizations and companies over those past 2 decades?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one, we're given students that have additional background when they go into the workplace. So, I mean, that helps the organization itself. Um, we've talked about being able to help students financially so that they can graduate quicker because of the expenses associated with college. And that's done a couple ways. One, where we talked earlier about the Lean Community Service internships. We also give scholarships both at the graduate and undergraduate level. We've been doing that for the last 10 years. And then the other piece that I think we find really interesting is that when we do some of these projects, or in the case of our engineering school, where a student has to complete a senior design project as part of a requirement for graduation, we deploy students into organizations to work projects. The feedback from the organizations has been very positive. We see those same organizations working with us again because they see the value in it, not only from the student perspective, but from the perspective that they can get projects done. And, with our newest program, where we actually bring individuals from industries to do one on one sessions with our students from an interview perspective. So our students are getting their resumes as clean and as good as they possibly can, and going through a mock interview with somebody from whether it's General Motors or Comerica or Henry Ford Hospital or a small small organization, maybe owned by somebody. Um, they're getting those opportunities to prepare themselves as they walk out the door from Oakland University.
And what difference ultimately do these programs make in these students' careers and also really in their academics in total? What does it add to it that makes them a better candidate going into the workforce or better equipped to go into the workforce regardless of their industry, regardless of their discipline, to be ready to hit the ground running and make for a great career ahead of them?
Yeah, and I think when we look at organizations today, most organizations are implementing lean in one form or another. It's not just manufacturing. So we see it in the banking industry, we see it in the utility industry, we see it in healthcare. So what these students are really getting are what I would call real world experiences, whether they're working a project or deployed within an organization. And so as they come out, they show some of that real world experience again through projects and internships and being deployed with these organizations. And um, the organizations are certainly having either lean or continuous improvement uh, uh, departments within their organizations. And so these students can hit the ground running when they find themselves a job.
More information can be found on oakland.edu/lean. Oakland.edu/lean. I also highly encourage you to read a recent article from the Oakland University News from November 17th of last year about the Pawley Lean Institute and their 20 years of service at Oakland University and in the greater community. And Dennis, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the philanthropic angle of the Pawley Lean Institute too. That's also a huge part of what the Institute has done from the beginning to support students, not only within these programs, but not only support the programs, but to support students that are involved with the Pawley Lean Institute and its programs as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whether they're working on a community service internship where they can earn money as they complete coursework, they're going to apply for scholarships. We've given nearly $50,000 just over the last 8 years in scholarships. We're actually going through our scholarship review process now. It's my expectation that we'll probably give in the neighborhood of $6,000 this year. That's real money that helps students defray some of those costs associated with it, while also then encouraging them to get involved in these programs. And as I said, at the end of the day, as they walk out the door, they're going to have a resume that shows that they've worked an internship, worked a community service project, earned a green belt, taken this lean coursework, understand some of the language associated with lean that make themselves a very viable candidate as they go through interviews. So we think we've created a lot of win-win for not just the institute itself, but for the university, our students, and for our employers.
More information can be found on oakland.edu/Paul/lean. Oakland.edu/lean for more information. Joining us is Dennis Wade, the director of the Pawley Lean Institute at Oakland University. Dennis, just a couple more minutes with you today before we'll need to move on. Anything else that we haven't discussed about the Pawley Lean Institute or its celebration of 20 years of operations and service at Oakland University that we should know about?
I think the one thing that I always think I go back to is Denny Pauly's vision. And I think his vision at the end of the day was trying to assist students as they're walking out the door at Oakland University for that next step in their career. And I think we've been fairly successful with that. I do meet with from Denny from time to time, and I think he's extremely pleased with where the institute is. And I think what we've done is really implement his vision when you narrow it down to assisting students, giving them advantages as they walk out the door, and making them very attractive to employers, not just in the Michigan area, but across the country.
More information can be found on oakland.edu/lean. Dennis, thanks for joining us.
I really enjoyed it. Have a great day.